For those of you who don't know me, I'm Francesco. I'm the founder and technical director at Erlang Solutions. So I've been dabbling with Erlang for about 20 years and been following the whole evolution which has been happening, from being a programming language to actually now being an ecosystem of programming languages, where we've got, I think, over 15 languages now which have been ported and are running on the Beam. And probably seven or 8 years ago, we started floating the idea of a foundation. And we started putting together companies and putting together ideas, working together. And after these 6-7 years, we're now ready to take the next step and kind of start opening up and, setting up a proper foundation and announcing it to the wider public. We've got... And fairly recently, we set up, we started putting together the goal, and the Erlang Ecosystems Foundation's goal is to grow and support a diverse community around the Erlang and Elixir ecosystem. So encouraging the continued development of technologies and open source projects based on and around its runtime and languages. Now, the key word here is diverse. We were talking about diversity of individuals and a diversity of technologies. And it's not about Erlang, it's not about Elixir, it's about all of the languages running on the Beam. And not only the Beam, virtual machines come and go. Languages get ported to other VMs. If the community finds it important to develop and promote aspects which are not focused on the Beam or a particular language, then the foundation will focus on it too. And it's very important here that the important bit here, I think, is the community. And it's a community which guides the foundation, because it's becoming now a foundation from the community to the community.
All right, so we just took a look at the goal, right? And how does this goal translate to the day-to-day of the foundation? What should we expect the foundation to do? So what are our key objectives? So we want to help coordinate efforts between languages to provide users better support, tooling, and environment. We want to support and fund initiatives by the community and working groups. So as you're going to see, we have this thing called working groups. And those working groups, they have very specific goals like, we want to improve documentation. We want to improve tooling, as we just saw. We want to improve the integration between languages. So we can focus on security. So we can focus on the working groups. They're going to focus on those areas, and they're going to bring improvements. And also to expand the ecosystem through training, marketing, case studies, so on. And to complement Ericsson and other stakeholders on evolving projects that are vital to the community, right? So why Ericsson? Because they maintain the Erlang virtual machine that we all use today. But as Francesco said, we never know, right? Maybe there are other implementations in the future that are going to become very important for the community, and we want to help maintain those as well and help them grow. And what are the key actors, right, in the foundation? So we are talking about the goals, about the objectives. So who's going to be acting on that? So the first actors of the foundation, they are the members, and those are you, like us, human beings, right? Only individuals, this is very important, only individuals can be members of the foundation, and they are the ones who dictate the future of the foundation, right? That's why it's important for us to be talking about it here. And one of the ways that you can help dictate the future of the foundation is by voting. You can vote, as you see, on the board of directors, or you can even run as a director yourself, okay? Members can also act as funding sources, but as you're going to see, there are other funding sources, right? So, all right, so those are the members, those are you, and then we have the board of directors. The board of directors is a group of people that they are responsible for the day-to-day of the foundation, right? So you can expect things like relating to accounting, take some decisions, handling the legal stuff that we don't actually, as engineers, developers, programmers don't actually want to worry a lot about that. And they're also responsible for approving and supporting the working groups. Okay, so this is a very important job of the board of directors. And as I said, the working groups, they are the ones effectively acting on the foundation goals, okay? As I said, you need to improve this experience for the whole language, for the whole ecosystem altogether. We want to improve deployment. Yeah, we can create working groups for that, have these discussions happen, then maybe come up with a solid proposal and come back to the foundation and say, look, here's the plan. We created this working group. We decided that this is the best way to improve things. Like, can you fund us? Like, we have this project. We know where we want to get to. So let's make this thing move forward. Okay, and that's kind of like starting to have an idea on how those dynamics work. We're going to take a deeper look at this as well. And finally, right, so we have the working groups that act on the foundation goals, and finally we have the sponsors, and the sponsors are the ones that make everything tick, okay? And they are mostly represented by companies, like something like $10,000 per year is not a lot of money for a lot of the companies using Erlang and Elixir in production. And if that as a donation to the foundation can really make the difference for us to sponsor the important projects or the important ideas that are happening in the community right now. So with the sponsorships, we can fund the efforts from the community and working groups through the foundation itself. And, you know, those things that I'm talking about, like the objectives, the actors, and how they relate to each other, it's actually covered on something that is very legalese, which is called the bylaws. And I'll let Francesco handle it.
You're giving me the boring part, right?
Yeah.
So there are 15 pages of legalese, which we are not going to read through now, but most of them are taken from the Python Software Foundation. I think we looked around and tried to look at the different software foundations which are out there, and the one which was closest to our goals was the Python Software Foundation. But things which you can go in if you're interested in on the Erlang Ecosystem Foundation website and read through it. But just to give you a high level, it defines a lot of, it defines the bylaws, the guidelines which we need to follow, and but they're very well defined. They cover a lot of edge and borderline cases, and pretty much what it says is that being a non-profit, it's a 501c3 status within the state, incorporated in the state of California. That means that all donations given to it, at least if you're in the States, are tax deductible. And the third point is, by adopting the Python Software Foundation as a template, as a kind of overview, it means that unlike the predecessor of the foundation, which is Industrial Erlang User Group or the Linux Foundation, corporations do not have a seat at the table. So it's all run by the members, for the members. Corporations still participate and can still participate, through sponsorships. They can pay for membership of their employees. They can donate time and employee time for the work groups, but they may not vote themselves. They may not vote or become members themselves. So I think this is the really, really important part of it, which differentiates it and makes it special. And just to give you a kind of very high level on how it works, you have all of the members, and they vote for the board of directors. The board of directors control the money, and they've got the ability to go in, based on proposals which get put in for work groups, go in and create work groups. And the work groups will then, obviously consult the members as well. And the work groups will manage and contribute to various projects. And corporations, will sponsor with money, but they will also contribute to the projects themselves. So this is a kind of very simple view over how it works. And we've got different types of memberships. So we have the supporting members, which are regular paying members. We have managing and contributing members. So there's specific categories where if you go in, it's almost a sweat equity. So if you put in a minimum of 5 hours per week, you don't need to pay for the membership, and you're still eligible to vote. You have
5 hours per month.
Per month, sorry, 5 hours per month. Sorry, that's correct. Yes. We have fellows, which are a special kind of membership, and the foundation will start nominating fellows, and they get voted in for life. And they also get the chance to nominate other fellows through a work group. And their votes are very similar to a supporting member. The difference is that the total number of votes by fellows will be limited to a total percentage of the votes, so that it doesn't become, so that they actually don't go in and take over, especially in the early days. If you look at Erlang, it's been around for a long time, there'll be quite a few fellows coming in that way. And Elixir, you still need to grow your gray hairs, but they'll come eventually. And there's a fifth member category called the basic membership, and this is basically a category for any type of member who doesn't have a voting right, but is still a member, is still able to contribute, is still able to help and work. And with this being said, over to the working groups.
Right, and one thing that is very important to highlight, here we're kind of highlighting it, our initial working groups. A lot of the things that so the foundation is like really, really new. We announced it kind of like a month ago at CodeBeam in San Francisco. And so everything that is in the bylaws, for example, that's kind of like well structured because it needs to be legalese, and it needs to be that way because that's what we need to do to get approved as a non-profit and so on. But a lot of the things that we are talking about, like the working groups, and then you saw, oh, there are different ways I can be a member. Like, or I can either pay for my membership, or I can be or I can be part of the foundation, help manage it, or I can contribute to projects. Those are all different ways. And then you're like, okay, like I already contribute to a project. I want to join. How do I do that? And then we will be glad to figure out as well and let you know. So there's a bunch of figuring out happening, and I know they're going to have a bunch of questions about those, and we'll be glad to answer, but sometimes the answer is exactly like we are going to figure out. So if your question is, oh, how much is the membership for us, for members? We are still talking about that. So we are really going with like the MVP. We did the minimum necessary so we can go out and start involving the community and get everybody involved and get everybody's opinion. But everything is still being decided. And one of the things that we did exactly in the same light was to talk about the working groups. So we have 5 initial working groups. Those are not like all the working groups we plan to have. As we continue opening up the foundation and defining the proper processes, you can come and say, hey, I want a working group about this, and we have a group of people that are interested in this, and then you submit a proposal and hopefully it gets approved. With that said, we have 5 initial working groups, right? Again, initial, we are working on this. So we have language interoperability. So again, we have many languages. We want to start the conversation and see what we can improve on this area, right? We also have a working group about tools. So we have very important tools in the community like Mix, Hex, Rebar, right? And there is a lot of collaboration already happening between them, and we hope to provide even more infrastructure for them to do their job. Documentation. So we from the Elixir community, we are very proud about our documentation, and probably everybody here, or most at some point, wanted to access the documentation of an Erlang function in the Elixir terminal, right? And then you figure out that it doesn't work. It would be great if all these worked together, right? And documentation was unified across the whole ecosystem. So there's a working group working on that now. That's great. We have a bunch of embedded systems effort. So we hear about nerves a lot in the Elixir community. There's the GRISP project. So again, they got together and they're like, okay, how can we make this better for everybody? And then there's the marketing, which is the team that is helping us figure all this out and how to reach out to you. So you're going to see there is a website. I have stickers. Francesco probably has stickers as well. So if you want to have some stickers of the foundation, come talk to me and get them. And the marketing, they are the one that is helping all of us do that, the presentation, and so on. So yeah, those are the working groups. And our roadmap is...
Yep, just to add to the working groups, it's becoming very much, there's been some really, really good discussions across communities on working together, on interoperability, and not so much about using Erlang or Elixir, but using them together. And it's really, enforcing and strengthening everyone, because I think together we're all stronger.
Yeah, and especially our understanding is that for the beginning of the foundation, we want especially to focus on working groups that are working or focus on collaboration.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of ideas that can be specific to one community or the other, but right now we have a very strong focus on the collaboration between the communities and projects that can benefit everybody.
Yeah.
And then as we evolve in the future, we'll see how it goes, but that's the immediate focus.
And for those of you who know me, have heard me speak before, I have a very strong belief that both communities have a lot to learn from each other, and there's a lot of cross-pollination which needs doing, and it's fantastic to actually see it happen. See it happen under our very own eyes. So this is the roadmap. First of all, onboard members, sponsors, and contributors. We need to set up a membership system, so database, voting systems, payments, and this needs to be really automated before we can start taking on large volumes of memberships. Doing it manually is not an option. And we've got quite a few systems we're looking at right now. We're looking at having a membership fee which is adjusted, there's discussions going on, but which is adjusted based on where you're resident, so suggesting a certain amount, which you can donate. And the second is establish the working group workflow. So we've now established kind of a template, which I believe is on the website, which you need to go in and propose a work group. And these work groups then get discussed at board meetings and accepted or rejected, or you'll be coming with feedback on them. We're looking at, one of the items is actually going in and funding projects and funding open source. And we're looking at, the steps, to do project submissions and ask for particular grants, which the members can apply for. And ideally, it's been agreed that the first year will solely focus on projects that benefit the whole ecosystem. And in later, next year and the following years, we can start focusing on even on the specific languages. But as Jose just said, I think there's still a lot which needs doing across the communities and across the ecosystems. And we expect to start the whole funding the first projects in the second or third quarter of this year. And right now, I think there is a kind of dummy board government. Everyone pretty much who wanted to be a board member got in, and that's mainly for the paperwork, for the paper in order to be able to submit. To register the nonprofit in California and submit all the paperwork. They require budgets, they require directors, they require kind of conflict of interest declarations, and a whole load of other bureaucracy, which we won't bore you with. But as soon as we're able to onboard members, we will be running a board election as well.
Yeah, we basically self-elected ourselves, but it's meant to be temporary during the bootstrap period.
Yes.
And then you can step in and say out or in accordingly.
Yes.
And those are the companies that have been involved contributing one way or the other for this bootstrapping period of the foundation. Yeah. And
they're all, we call them contributing companies. And they all will also have kind of an honorary founding founding contributing company. So they'll have a kind of an honorary name, and any company which will join within, I think, before the end of June, if I remember correctly, and pay their fees, is going to be called also a founding member.
Yeah, so those companies, and we are announcing the process, I think, this week.
Yeah, so the process was actually, agreed at the last board meeting.
Yeah, so if any company wants to join as a founding member or a founding sponsor, not member, because corporations are not member, but if any company wants to join as a founding sponsor of the foundation, as those other companies, we are opening up the whole process, and it will be into June, as Francesco said. So it's a great opportunity for anybody here who is interested to step and join the foundation, and it will help us to continue bootstrapping, as we saw. We're still bootstrapping a lot, but hopefully hopefully we'll have the projects up and running
So-
really, really soon.
The fees were decided last Thursday, and for a company or corporation with a turnover revenue under $1 million, I think it will be $3,000 to join. If your turnover revenue is under $5 million, it will be $5,000, and if you're over $5 million, the minimum donation will be $10,000 per year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it,
Yep.
right? So interested in joining a working group. If you want to become a member, want to become a sponsor, go to the foundation website, earlef.org. And as I said, we are still working a lot in setting up the rules of engagement and everything. So there is basically what you can do on the website. You can read the bylaws if that's what you're interested in. But usually you're going to go to the website, you're going to subscribe, and we'll be sending mails as soon as we have more information and more news.
Yeah, and well, obviously, feel free, if you want to become a sponsor, feel free to speak to me or Jose. We are collecting names of companies, and we'll start reaching out to them very, very soon, so as to get basically the founding sponsors out. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.